It is great to welcome Robbie Harte on this podcast. She is a wonderful country musician based in New York, but originally from Montreal. Robbie, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning or hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. How are you doing?
Good afternoon from my end, and I'm doing well, thanks.
I forgot about the time difference. I'm
Yeah, I think it used to be 6 hours, but because of daylight saving time, it's now
right.
5.
Exactly.
Yeah. So first, what's like being a country musician in New York?
It's really interesting because I don't think it's the primary genre here in New York. I don't think it's the first genre or preferred genre, but it's slowly growing. So I like to see the growth and the addition of new venues or country artists that are making tours in the areas, even in the smaller local areas. So it's really exciting to see the growth. And I'm so excited to be part of that.
It's wonderful. And as I've mentioned at the beginning, you're originally from Montreal. So how and why did you make the move?
That's a good question. It was never my lifelong dream to move to New York or to the US, but quite a few years ago, I was supposed to go on a trip to Paris, and it was a writing trip, and I had it all planned out. And at the last minute, I went to Hawaii. And the first day that I was there, I met the guy of my dreams in Hawaii, ended up moving to New York, where he was from, to get married and start our life here. So I really followed my heart and moved to New York.
hmm And I'm guessing you guys are still married?
Yes, and it's inspired many songs since then. So
That's wonderful.
thank
So tell
you.
me about some of the songs that this lovely union was inspired by. Was
Um,
inspired by this lovely union.
Thank you. Thank you for asking. I do write a lot of love songs, and they're inspired by my journey. And truthfully, the first and most important one, which to me is my favorite story to sing and tell all the time, is called Out of the Blue. And it literally chronicles the story of how I traded Paris for paradise, and I fell in love at a Starbucks in Hawaii. And it really just goes through the story of how we met and how I found the love I wasn't looking for out of the blue. So that's my favorite song to sing and the favorite story to tell because it's such a happy song. And if you do get the opportunity to listen to it, I do invite you to listen because it's just such a great feel good song. And I know a lot of people love that song. It's also inspired I Would Still Pick You, which speaks to the kind of love that you would choose over and over again. If you had a crystal ball and you could see 10 or 20 years down the road and see all of the things that are going to happen to you in your relationship and all of the hardships, that you would still pick that person over and over again. And that's what that song is about. It's called I Would Still Pick You. That was released in September of 2023. And, another fan favorite because of the relatability of the song. And another song that I love to sing and share is 17. That is so special to me for so many reasons. 17 was my breakout song as an artist. It was the first song that got radio airplay overseas, and then it trickled down to Canada and the US. But most importantly, it speaks to love's growth and journey throughout the years, the good, the bad, and the in between. And in that song, if you listen to it from start to finish, you hear me reference my move from Canada to the US, starting a life together, the day we met. Like, it chronicles our whole relationship, and then it looks forward to like when we're going to be like 70 and older, and so having spent a whole life together. So that's another one of my favorite songs to sing and to perform because it's a beautiful song about a love story that endures time. And I think there's an underlying theme there with my music. But I really am very proud of that song. 17, like I said, was my breakout song. So I'm very proud of that. It really did well with fans and listeners. And I hope you enjoyed that song as well.
All right. Yeah, I'll keep the songs in mind. I'll
Thank
probably
you.
listen to them, after we
Thank
finish
you.
this. Yeah, so you mentioned having an overseas fan base. So what countries are you most surprised by when you discover that you have a fandom there?
Anywhere. Truthfully, it's anywhere, especially with every day, with hundreds of thousands of songs getting uploaded to streaming services around the world and artists pretty much everywhere. The fact that people choose to hear my music, and in the most remote parts of the world where I don't know people, where I'm not necessarily pushing and promoting my music, it's an incredible feeling. Any person who takes the time to listen to my music and is a fan of my music, it's very special to me. But when the person has no other motivation besides just listening to my music for the pleasure of it, I really love that, because that tells me that they discovered it, they stumbled upon it, or somebody played it for them and they loved it and it resonated with them. And then there's Southeast Asia, Brazil, Portugal, Germany, Sweden. I have a lot of fan base over in Europe. Actually, I'm going to be going to Europe at the end of this month. I'm going to be heading over to UK. But it's really interesting to have my music played in countries all around the world, even countries that I've never, like I said, promoted my music to, because as an artist, sometimes we choose where we promote our music to, where the audience is, just based on how we promote our singles and stuff. And it's amazing to me that people in the most remote parts of the world, in Africa, I have a lot of people in South Africa that have listened to my music or that listen to my music on my playlists. It's just amazing to see, like, on your statistics where people are tuning in from. And it's just so beautiful to know that the power of music has that kind of reach, and it really does unite us.
Of course, yeah. And I wish you the best of times at the United Kingdom.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and since you mentioned Paris, have you been there, after the marriage?
No, I never got to go. We never have gone, but incidentally, we are going in April of
Okay.
this year. So it's really come full circle.
hmm Incredible.
Yes. Have you ever been there?
No, I've not, despite the fact that I'm living quite close there at this point. But do let me know whenever you come to Budapest. It's a very beautiful city and a rather underrated city in Europe too.
Oh, I know. It's absolutely beautiful. And I think you guys have the most incredible spas there too, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I'll say hot springs and
yeah,
hot baths. Yeah.
yeah. I remember I used to work for an airline many, many years ago, and a lot of my colleagues would go to Budapest for that reason, or to view the city. It was a beautiful city for tourists as well.
Okay, wonderful. Well, let me know when you're in town, of course.
I sure will.
So tell me about growing up in Montreal. What was it like there?
I always loved Montreal. The diversity there, the exposure to different experiences there is just absolutely incredible. I grew up benefiting from that exposure, that you don't get in every single city or town that you live in. I love the food, the cultural differences in Montreal were just absolutely incredible. I loved being part of it because it had a very European feel and a very European vibe to Montreal. I grew up speaking multiple languages, and meeting people from different countries, because Montreal was an arrival port for a lot of people who would come to Canada. And I just really enjoyed that opportunity to meet people from everywhere.
hmm That's wonderful. Yeah. How many languages do you speak?
Um, Not well, but four or five.
hmm Which ones?
But English, French, Spanish, Hebrew, and a little bit of Romanian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I love speaking. I love communicating with people. So if I have an opportunity to speak to somebody and speak in their language or learn about their language, it always interests me very much. So I'm always eager to learn some new languages or way of connecting with people besides the language of music.
Of course. Yeah, I can only manage two at the moment. I'm learning a third right now, so Hungarian. But
That's a hard language to speak, though. That's not easy.
it is, yeah, it's pretty difficult, but I think you get the hang of it once you take enough lessons.
I think being where you are, though, it's the best way to learn, because immersion is the best way to learn. Like, you start to think in a foreign language or in another language, and instead of wondering, you just start answering questions in that language. Like when I was in Montreal, I went to school in French, so we did the immersion schooling, and that was the premise of it. Everything was immersive, so you learn very quickly. You have no choice but to adapt because the pace is just moving so quickly.
hmm Did you get a chance to take part in the Montreal music scene before you left for New York?
I didn't really that much, to be honest with you. It was always my dream. Ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a singer. I did musical theater. I did theater. I did theater troupe in Montreal. I auditioned for Canadian Idol. I mean, I did like sing in a college band when I was in college, but when I was a grown up, I had to put my dream on hold to pursue like my career because I had to pay the bills and like most adults who are in art, you have to support yourself. So music kind of took a backseat, but I always knew I was going to go back, revisit that career and make that happen. But it wasn't until I moved to New York that I really decided to pursue music with everything I had.
That's wonderful. Yeah. I got to know you from Montreal-based artist who came from Australia. So she made a very long trip. Misha Bear is her name. I recently had her on the podcast, in which I think I just uploaded the episode that we did together yesterday. So, how did you guys know each other?
So I just love the power of music. I love how music brings us together. I said that before, and I'll say it again. I met Misha for the first time when I was in Montreal. I think it was November, doing a showcase, a songwriter showcase in Montreal, and she was in attendance of the event. And she approached me after the event, and she said, I do this event in Montreal. It's girls just want to have fun. It's all female singer songwriters that come and do a performance. Would you be interested? And I said, oh wow, that would be amazing. So I got to meet her then, and we stayed in touch. And then in this past February, I went back to Montreal and they performed at her event. So I got to see her again. She's an incredible person. She's so talented and such a warm and awesome person. Like in music, it's amazing when you get to meet somebody who is not only a great artist and musician and person, but who also supports other artists. And she's amazing.
Hmm. Yeah.
And she dropped her album, so make sure you
Oh
go
yeah.
check it out.
Yeah. Beware of the Bear. Her new
Beware of the
album.
bear. Mhm.
Yeah. I got the chance to listen to a couple of songs from it. It's quite the amazing album.
She's very talented.
Mhm. I believe I met her on the early February, so it might be a few days after that. Yeah, she hosted that concert where you performed there.
Yeah, it was great, and I was so excited that I got to see her perform as well. So
Mhm.
it was really a nice event.
Yeah, and I'm guessing it was in Montreal, so you got a chance to go back to your hometown for a bit.
I did. I love that music gets to bring me back home because my family still lives there. And although it's not that far away, my daughter goes to school, my husband works a steady job. So it's hard to take off time where we're all available to go home and visit, when timing is perfect. But it's nice that I can book away, go do a couple of shows for a couple of days, go see my family, have them come see my shows, and then come back home. And that's amazing. I love that I get to have both of those opportunities. And I love that music is partially a ticket to go back home.
Hmm. How long is
Because
the? Yeah, sorry, I was interrupting you.
no, no, I'm sorry. My roots are very much Canadian. My roots are very much, grounded in Montreal and my home there, my family. So it's hard to be far away. But at the same time, I'm happy that I get to enjoy both worlds. In fact, I actually released a song about that called Harte in Two Places. And it really speaks to that.
Hmm. Yeah, I was gonna ask, how long is the flight from New York to Montreal?
Oh, it's about an hour and 20 minutes. So it's not
Oh,
a
okay.
terrible. Yeah, the drive is a lot longer, but for me to get on a plane, fly down there for a couple of days, do a couple of shows, and come home is very ideal. So it's perfect.
Incredible. Yeah. Of course, Montreal is home to one of my favorite musicians, Leonard Cohen.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of, you covered his great song Hallelujah, and you did a very countrified version of it. So, yeah, tell me about doing that song.
Well, thank you for mentioning it. And I have to commend you for having such incredible taste in a musician
Thank you.
because Leonard Cohen was so incredibly talented and what a treasure of Montreal, right? That song has always been really special to me. It's always resonated with me in a very, very deep level. Um, Several years ago, after I moved to New York, I was badly injured. And as a result of my injury and my pain and my situation, I lost my ability to sing. And it was like the most difficult time of my life because for the first time in my life, not only was I in severe chronic pain and it was horrific, I couldn't express myself which was through my language of music, to sing my way through the pain and to belt out my pain. And it was a really hard time. And for years and years and years, my dream of being a singer completely dwindled away, and I never thought I'd be able to sing again. But about 7 years ago, I decided to follow my dream to sing, no matter how difficult it was, because I wanted to teach my young daughter, who was watching me through these years, that a disability should never stop me from living my dreams. And I should overcome any obstacles in front of me to pursue my dream at all costs, because I wanted to do what was in my heart and follow my dream. And I wanted my daughter to be proud of me. So that was about 7.5 years ago. And the first song that I ever wanted to sing when I got my voice back was Hallelujah. Because not only had the song been in my head for years and years and years, but through those years where I couldn't do much, I was in pain, severe chronic pain. I couldn't sleep at night. And I would sit there and I would listen to Jeff Buckley's version of Hallelujah on repeat. And I would just listen to the sound of his voice and his breathing and the guitar. And I would just almost be in a trance listening to it, and it would take me away somewhere different. And it was just such an incredible tool for me. It really resonated with me in a very, very deep way. And I knew that when I was able to sing again, I wanted to sing that song, because I wanted to make somebody feel how that song made me feel, my interpretation. So I wanted to be able to share that with people, and the joy that it gives me to sing that song. So it was definitely a very big priority to record that song. I actually did record it very, very early on when I started singing again, but it was like a recording using like another pre-recorded track. So it wasn't a reflection of my artistry and where I was at in my musical journey. So this past fall, I approached my producer and I said, we do this song when we do performances and people love my rendition, would it be crazy to record Hallelujah? Because there's certain songs that artists know are completely off limits. Like, you don't ever try to cover the Beatles or Elvis or, somebody of that status, because their versions are iconic. And what are you going to do to the song, right? And my motivation wasn't to improve upon the song. It wasn't to make it better. It was just to share what was in my soul and offer it to anybody who wanted that perspective. And my producer says, you need to record it. So we did. We recorded it. We made it very country, which I'm glad you recognized. There was a pedal steel guitar on there that makes me weak in the knees. It's absolutely gorgeous. There's a fiddle, which to me is like it's singing in the background. It's just a beautiful track. And I'm so glad that I got to put my stamp on that song and share it with the world.
Yeah, it's a wonderful cover.
Thank you so much.
It's I actually prefer Jeff Buckley's rendition of Hallelujah more than that of Leonard Cohen himself. So
I love Jeff Buckley's version. There's something like, I don't know, it's like you can see through the music and just see right into his soul. Like it just grabs you, and it just does something absolutely incredible. And his, like, I know it sounds funny, but his breathing, the sound of his breathing in the song is mesmerizing. It's absolutely incredible. Everything is incredibly done in that song.
of course, yeah, Jeff Buckley's a rare talent.
Absolutely.
And of course, since you mentioned your injury, I'm very sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you.
So aside from listening to Jeff Buckley on repeat, how did you recover from it?
It was a very, very difficult process, and it's not done. Like, I'm still struggling with parts of that. I had multiple interventions, therapies, procedures, over 60 procedures, surgery, spine surgery, quite a few procedures, therapy, but music was what healed me the most, because there's something so powerful and so healing in the music. And the fact that it made me get out of my situation and it gave me the power to take control of my situation. Music gave me a voice, and that voice is a very powerful one. And now I use that voice to inspire and uplift other people. And I believe that music heals from the inside out. So it was instrumental in my healing, without a doubt. It gives me the drive to be better physically and emotionally, so that I can do all of the things that I want to do. I still have some really bad days, and I get a lot of bad days, but I know what's on the other side of those days. I know that once I push through those few days or those weeks, I have a tour waiting for me. I have a studio session. I have performances. I have meet and greets with fans. And those things keep me really, really inspired because I love the journey and I love the interaction with the fans, the listeners, and being in the studio. I love being on stage. And for me, it's a really, really strong motivator to get out there and to overcome my pain and my situation. I still have limitations. I walk with a cane, so I can't dance on stage. I can't do a lot of things, but there's a lot I can do. And there's a lot I can just shuffle around so that I'm able to do things in a way that is manageable for me. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about being an independent artist is that I get to make all of those shots. I get to make all of those decisions. And I always make sure that I can do everything that's manageable in a way for me to do it. And I'm very, very proud of how I'm doing and what I'm doing.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed in your video feed that you have a couple of those canes lying around, so I assume that.
Yeah, I have my party cane, my red carpet cane, my everyday cane. I've got my blinged out cane, so at one point I was so embarrassed about it because I was, you know, people would stare at me and be like, "Oh my God, look at the girl, she's walking with a cane." And I had a really bad limp and I walked really crooked. And I was like, I don't have to be embarrassed because I'm standing up and I'm doing something and I'm going forward with what I wanted to do. Even when I was in perfect condition, I'm going for something that was on the top of my to-do list, but I didn't even want to try to do it when I was in the perfect shape and the perfect age and perfect health. And here I am, with a disability. And I'm like, not letting that stop me. So it's just changing my perspective and how to approach things. But, you should never be embarrassed of your circumstance. Maybe be unhappy if you don't try, but don't be embarrassed of your circumstance. Because if you can't change it, just do the best you can with what you have.
Of course. Yes. Yeah. So I wonder, given the effect that music has on you, do you hope to have the same healing effect when you do your own music?
Do I have the effect of healing to
Yeah.
myself or to others?
To yourself and to others.
Yes, and yes. Yes, to myself, absolutely. I think emotionally and spiritually, it's a confirmation that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that feeling gives me like a boost and it makes me feel 100 times better. Not necessarily 100, I don't have the mobility better, but it makes me feel better because it makes me feel like I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it is such an incredible and empowering feeling. And I've been so blessed and so fortunate to have people tell me that my music has resonated with them, that it's helped them through a difficult time, that they were stuck and they were inspired by my music and my story, and they went out and chased their dreams. And it comes full circle. That inspires me and it gives me power and it gives me like this incredible supercharge. But while we're talking about the effects of music and the power of music, in 2022, I released a song called Reason to Rise. And it speaks to how music and my daughter, these are two things that I create. They give me breath and they give me life. And they gave me a reason to rise through my difficult time. So that was really the story, how music saved me, how music gave me a second chance, how music gave me a reason to get up and to lift myself out of that difficult situation. And a lot of people resonated with that song. A lot of people found inspiration from that song. And that made me so proud because if you can share a very personal experience, sometimes it's very uncomfortable to say those words out loud, to say, I fell so low, which is like the first line of the song, I fell so low, to admit that. But when you say those words, you're relieved of the shame of going through it and you're helping somebody else. So there's a lot of power there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's incredible. I should listen to that song too.
Thank you.
So tell me more about how your family helped you through in the recovering process.
My family has been amazing. My husband has been such an incredible support. He works nonstop and he always makes sure that I had what I needed. And he helped me so much through this process. And when I told him that I wanted to be a singer, I was going to pursue this dream like a few years ago, he was like, at first he wasn't sure how it was going to play out. He's like, oh, okay, that's, it's nice that you want to have a hobby. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I want to have a career. This is what I want to do. Like full on, like go all in. And he's been so supportive and he's just been so amazing. And he really has been a rock for me in that respect. And I'm very grateful. My daughter's very supportive of my journey. She's going to be 16 this month. She's been the biggest inspiration for me. She's been my motivation. You know, Several years ago when she was little, she was in kindergarten and I was on the couch all the time. I couldn't move. I was in horrible pain and I couldn't do anything. My husband and my daughter would go on bike rides, they'd go see movies, and I just couldn't join them to do anything. And I thought, this is the only thing my daughter will ever remember of me is being on the couch in pain and not being able to do anything. And I just couldn't have that be the only way she would ever see me because that's not who I was. I was this vibrant, bubbly, outgoing person before, and she didn't know that person. She didn't know that, very awesome butt kicking person that I used to be. I had amazing jobs and I did really cool things. She would never imagine that was me before because she never saw that side of me. So she really was the biggest inspiration for me to take this journey. And I just, like I said, I wanted her to be proud of me. And that was such a big motivator for me that she's the reason I was doing this. And I kept saying to myself, I don't care if people laugh at me because I was limping really bad. I was literally walking to the side. It was bad. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand on the stage. Maybe I'll hold on to the curtain. I'll hold on to a microphone. I'll hold on to the wall. Like, I didn't care. I was like, I'm doing this no matter how hard it is because I see who's watching me. And that was so amazing for me because as I started living my dream, my daughter started to see that is possible, that you can do anything, that I can do anything, she can do anything, we can all do anything. And it was just such an amazing support that she started off by inspiring me and I ended up inspiring her. So it's just been an incredible journey, and I'm so grateful to have the support from my family and my mom and dad to come to see my shows. They're so proud of me, and I'm just so excited to have them as part of this journey as well. And I love that music gets to bring me home, that I get to go home and see them do a couple of shows and then come back to my life here. So it's just amazing. I'm very, very blessed.
Yeah, that's very sweet to hear.
Thank you.
Since you mentioned having a career and pursuing it, what do you believe makes a career different from, say, a job or a hobby?
It's a good question. I mean, I think a hobby is something you do just for personal enjoyment and pleasure, like on the side. Music is who I am. If you use the title job, hobby, career, it really doesn't matter for me because it's who I am at the core of me. You could strip away all of the words, but I am somebody who speaks in music, I speak in lyric, and I tell my stories through songs and emotive storytelling. That's just who I am. So for me, that is me and who I am, but that's also how I make my mark on this world, I guess you could say. And I think that having a job is something that you do to pay bills, and having a career is a representation of your artistry or your work.
I see. Yeah. To me, I think the idea of a career and having a career is very unique to Americans. Not even Europeans share this. I don't grow up with people thinking that they have a career. There are people who think that they have a job, and people think that they have a good job, depending on, how much the job affords them. But to think of like defining yourself based on the kind of job that you do on a day-to-day basis, that's pretty rare, and apparently that is far more common in America, in American culture than it is.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And yeah, I wonder, having lived in America for some time, why do you believe this is the case?
I don't really know. I think that Americans are very impressed with, I guess, status, I guess, or like education, and is very, very important here. You know, everybody has to go to college and you have to get a degree and you have to, have the statistics, I don't know if that plays into the role of that. I really can't say because it's not my lifestyle, but I do believe that it's very important to have a good, background, a good education, and to have like a good job, a good career path. But I'm really not quite sure as to why it is, but I think it's like you need a degree to do anything here, so I don't know if it's like that elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Although I believe, yeah, with the globalized economy, a degree is more needed than it was before.
Right. That makes sense.
Mhm. Um, Tell me about your song "Sawdust on the Floor." I got a chance to listen to it. It's a very interesting song.
Oh, thank you for asking. It's funny. That is one of my favorite songs, and I'm glad you took a listen. I hope you enjoyed it. Sawdust on the Floor speaks about my journey these last 15 years, since my injury, almost 16 years. And it speaks about how, with every obstacle I've overcome and every hardship I've endured, I've been molded into this empowered version of myself that I am today. And that with everything I go through, I change as a person and I'm different because of the experiences. And the sawdust on the floor represents all of the things I've gone through. And once I've, overcome them, they just fall on the floor, and it doesn't stay with me. It doesn't mark me in a bad way. It changes me, which is a good thing because I wouldn't be who I am without all of those experiences.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a
It's
very
an
lovely song. So,
Thank you. It's an empowerment anthem, as I love to write empowerment anthems. I don't try to. I think I just do it because um, my stories talk about overcoming adversity, and I like to shine a light on the positive of that. But Sawdust on the Floor is a very, very personal song to me because it really speaks about the evolution that I've gone through over these years. And I wouldn't change my journey or my path because I wouldn't be who I am today.
mhm. Yeah. So, why did you settle on country music as your genre of choice?
It was really interesting because I've always been a balladeer. I love singing big ballads and power ballads, and I love, some like rock and R&B and soul. I have a very soulful voice as well. But there's something so special about country music that always really resonated with me. I was always drawn to country music. I love the stories. I love the authenticity in country music. I love being able to tell my stories in country music. I love the instrumentation. I love the fiddles. I love the pedal steel guitar. I love the slide guitar. I love all of those instruments. The banjo. They're just so beautiful, and I love how they add different dimensions to the stories that I tell through my music. I think my voice naturally goes to a country blues, country place, and I just love it that I feel like I'm at home when I write a song.
Mhm. Yeah. Have you had a chance to visit the respective country music hubs of America and Canada? Like in America, you have Nashville, and in Canada, you have I think Calgary.
I've been to both actually. I've been to Calgary many times. Yeah, I've gone out west many times, and in 2024 last year I went to Nashville, and 2 years ago I went to Nashville as well. So I performed at the CRS week in Nashville last February, and the year before that I was at the Josie Music Awards in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry. So I did have a chance to go, and I'm very happy I got those opportunities. Unfortunately, I was nominated for awards at the Josie Music Awards this past year in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry, but I wasn't able to make the award show.
Mhm.
But I
Uh,
hope to go back this year.
I see. Did you win the award?
I did. Thank you for asking.
Ah, that's wonderful.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. I won the award for Music Video of the Year performance based for my song Sticks and Stones.
Mhm.
And it was such an incredible feeling to win that award because I know I mentioned that about 16 years ago I was badly injured, and in September of 2022, I released Reason to Rise, which I talked about and how it lifted me up from my difficult situation. And then 2 months after that, I was in a bad car accident. And the car accident sidelined me for about a year and a half. But um, right after the car accident, a few months later, I had this song that I had to record. It was in my head so bad. I was like, I need to record this song right now. But it wasn't like in my normal shape. I wasn't in my normal state, if you know what I mean. I'd gone through a lot of physical pain and injuries, and I had like severe vertigo and the whole kit. But I had to record the song because it was like it would not let me go. So I recorded the song and I had to do a video for the song because you can't smack talk a song and not do a video. You just can't, right? It's like saying something and not showing your face. So I ended up recording the video, and I was really self-conscious because I really didn't look like myself at all. I was a lot heavier than I typically am because of the medication and just being in the accident. It was very swollen. But I was like, I have to do this video. And I second guessed every step of the way. And then I finally released it and it did really well. And when it won the award, it told me that I did the right thing by releasing this video because it meant something to the people who were watching it. And it didn't matter what I thought of me and what I thought of how I looked or that I wasn't in my normal state. What mattered is I was carrying a message, and that message was inspiring and empowering other people.
Of course. Yeah.
So it was just such an incredible feeling to win that award.
Mm-hmm. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I wonder if you still have I suppose limitations regarding your mobility when you perform on stage.
I do. Yeah. I actually I have a hard time performing standing up, especially if I'm playing guitar, because I need to hold on to something or lean on something. Otherwise, I'll fall down. So I can probably do one song, maybe three-quarters of a song without being supported. But it's hard for me. I'm not going to lie. It's very hard. I have to consider these things when I'm planning my performances. Is there going to be something for me to sit on or lean on? Is there a wall that I can like teeter back and forth onto? Because my legs just literally give out with no notice and I just fall down. So I have no choice but to make those arrangements. And like I said earlier, I can't dance on stage. I mean, I could make a few arm movements and then, go back, but it's hard for me to play standing up. And that's something I really, really have my heart set on improving. So I always work on goals, things I can do better and how I want to do them differently. And one of the things I really, really want to do is do a whole show standing up. That's my goal. Like I want to do a set completely standing up without support, and I'd love to do that. I have a hard time to walk long distances, to do certain things. It is what it is, but you just find ways to work around them. I mean, I'm better than I was when I started because I really couldn't even walk up to the stage myself without holding on to something. So I'm better. I can walk up to about a minute now without falling, and then I can use my cane for support. Or if I'm holding a mic stand, I can pretty much do an entire set because I can hold on to the mic stand when I need to. But playing a guitar, it's hard because you don't have the free hand. So
yeah, I'm certainly hope that you can do an entire show standing up.
Well, you know what? I think that when there's a will, there's a way, and you set yourself goals, and they're small goals, but they're still goals. And when you succeed on those goals and you look back how far you've come, you would be amazed of what you've accomplished. And that's what I try to do. I try to set myself these goals and say, okay, this time I'm going to sing one song standing up, and this time I'm going to play and sing. And I did it a couple of weeks ago. I was performing at a show, and I'm trying to remember where it was at Shandon Court, and another musician friend of mine was playing with me. So I was standing up and playing, and I had this stool behind me just in case I had to fall down. And I told him before I started playing, I'm like, okay, if you see me go down, just like swing out your leg and knock me back up or something. But it was amazing because I got to play standing up, and it wasn't something I do typically. So I played actually it was the song Handle with Care. So I played Handle with Care standing up, and it was just such a great feeling because now when I think like, I'm not gonna be able to do that, well, I just did. And I'm a very firm believer that if you do something once, you can do it again. So I just have those goals, and that's what I really want to do. So there you go.
Yes, here's hoping for the best for you.
Yes, exactly. But you won't see me dancing though.
So, what do you hope to achieve this year in 2025, musically or otherwise?
I have so many big goals for this year. Last year and the year before were my recovery years from my accident. And I started to feel much, much better this last year, this last few months. And my number one goal is to get out to more places, to meet more fans, to play for more shows, and just to meet the people who've been supporting me all of these years. And I want to go and tour as much as I can, as much as it makes sense to do that strategically and go to the areas, like I said, that give me the most support. And I'm going to the UK in April. And the UK was the first radio station to play me. They were the first the first country where I was played on the radio. And I've had consistent support from them ever since. So it's a really, really big thrill for me to go back to the UK and to play. There's other communities where I want to go. I'm not going to mention them yet because I don't want to say anything yet, but there's a few that are in the works right now that I cannot wait to be able to get out to and meet people who've been supporting my music for all these years and meet new fans and meet new people that have just discovered my music. Because for me, my entire musical journey is about the people and the connection of music and how it connects us. Like for me, it's all about the people.
Of course. Yeah.
So I really want to get out and meet people.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm glad to have connected with you via your music on this
Thank you. I'm so glad that
conversation.
we connected as well. I do have a new song coming out, which I haven't even mentioned yet. So you kind of get a scoop. Um, I'm in the studio tomorrow, finishing up some stuff on the song. So I'm very, very excited about the song. I cannot wait to release the song. It's really something else. So um, very excited. And then I have a whole bunch of other songs I've written recently that I cannot wait to pick and choose which ones are going to go out and even think of how I want to release them. So
Hmm.
there's
Yeah.
a lot to think about.
So do you have a title and a release date for the song yet?
I don't yet. So unfortunately, I can't tell that to you just yet, but I will
Okay.
be sure to tell you as soon as it's available. I cannot wait. I'll be screaming it off of a rooftop.
All right. I look forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So finally, Robbie Hart, what does music mean to you?
Music is my language that I communicate to people with. It's the frequency I live on. It's what's in my soul. It's my companion. It's my friend. It's who knows me the best. All of my emotions. It's my means of telling stories. It's my escape. It's my release. It's all of those things.
Mhm.
And it's my joy.
I think that's a wonderful note to end on. Thank you very much,
Thank
Robbie
you.
Hart, to
Thank you so
join us.
much for me.